Yes, what is up, my Limitless Minds family? Welcome to your Wednesday, Workplace Wednesday, Limitless Live. You've had a double dose of Joe Lohman back to back. And I am so excited to introduce a special guest today. My friend, a mentor, a woman I truly respect, Lyndsay Dowd, on the live today to talk about culture, toxic leadership. How do we create brave spaces? Let's bring her onto the screen, please. There she is.
Yo, how you doing, girl?
I need 5 minutes to really introduce you because she is a coach, a podcast host, owns her own company, and all around badass. And we are so happy to have you today and get some different voices, different faces, and just some brilliant minds onto our Limitless Live today.
Well, the pleasure is mine. I couldn't be happier. You know I adore you, and it's just such a treat to be with you.
I know that Sunday was Mother's Day, so I want to hear what was one of the highlights from your day on Sunday, because I know you're a mother, a beautiful one at that.
Thank you. I'm a mom of twins, teenage twins, and my kids made me the most beautiful cards. They made me a beautiful brunch. And I wanted to take my puppy to the beach. She's never been to the beach. And for those of you that follow along, this is Poppy Long sound asleep.
Hello.
She sits in my lap all day long. But we took her to the beach. It was a great, great day. And then we had a big neighborhood progressive dinner. So it was a perfect day. Absolutely loved it. It was great.
Oh, everyone in
How
the
was
chat
yours?
is blowing up because of that little puppy, right? Everyone loves a puppy.
You can follow her on Instagram, Poppy Long Sausage.
Oh my God, the sausage. We've got Tanya in the house. We got Lane. We got Martin. I know Josh is out there somewhere too, listening in live. So as you know, Linz, like every week we have discussions on different topics when it comes to mindset, because we can train three things. You can train your craft, you can train your body, and you can train your mind.
Yes.
And so very often we neglect the concept of training our mind.
Yeah.
And that affects our overall performance, both professionally and also personally as parents, right? We have to be in a good headspace to really reach our potential. And you and I wanted to discuss bad culture and toxic leadership. And you're the true inspiration behind this. So tell me, where did this come from? Are you often dealing with this with your clients and your podcasts?
Yeah. Well, and yes, of course. And the truth of the matter is bad culture is just the symptom.
Yeah.
Bad leadership is the disease.
Yeah.
And the good news is leadership can change. You can grow. Not everybody is born a perfect leader. And if you're born a crappy leader or you act like a crappy leader because you've never had a good example of leadership, the good news is there's lots of things you can do to improve. And I love, love, love when I get to talk to people and they tell me, oh my God, I was so bad. I was the worst to my people. I was living totally by ego. I was ungrateful, and they have some kind of a wake-up call and some kind of epiphany that makes them pause and say, I'm not doing this right. I need to refocus. I need to change the way I'm doing things. And when they make that change, the impact is profound. So yes, I work with a lot of companies and clients on this. It is my mission is to change leadership as we know it. And I'm writing a book about it right now. And this is what I'm talking about a lot, because I know what it feels like when it's good. I've been a leader. I've been in the corporate space for 25 years. And 23 of those were climbing the ranks of IBM. And I was running big sales organizations. I know what it feels like when it's great. And I know what it feels like when it's awful. And I got fired from one of the awful scenarios. That's what gave me the inspiration to start this company and to really push this movement forward.
Boom! Out the truth, says Lane, and I can only agree with that. Yeah. You dropped some juicy nuggets there, and I want to double click on a few things that you said. You talked about identifying what toxic leadership looks like. So what does it look like?
Yeah. So the quickest way to know if you're a leader and you're trying to ascertain what's going on in your organization, the quickest way to know is, how are people behaving on all hands calls? Are they quiet? Are they not speaking? Are they not engaging? Because that's a real easy one. Very often companies will put out a survey and they'll say, we did great. We got 60% of people responding. So everybody that's disgruntled did not respond.
Yeah.
Everybody that's already looking did not respond. And it's not necessarily a true litmus test of how things really are. But is there collaboration on your team? Are you here's an easy test. If your boss calls, do the hairs on your neck stand up? Are you excited to take the call? And so many people don't even think about that. They don't even recognize that work is actually supposed to be enjoyable. You should be doing something you like. You should. And yes, every job has its warts. Every team has people you're not going to get along with. But do you like what you're doing? Do you feel aligned to your purpose? And if you don't, you have an opportunity to change it. But it's up to you.
So I'm hearing 4 things that you just said about how to identify toxic leadership. You said, what is the behavior of the employees on all hands calls meeting? Is there collaboration?
Yep.
Do the hairs on your neck stand up when your boss calls you? And that gives me an emotion and a feeling.
Yeah.
That's a true visual in my brain. I love that. And is your work aligned with its purpose?
With your purpose. Yeah.
With your purpose. Yes. And that's 4 really visual things that we can imagine with toxic leadership. What happens, do you think, when toxic leadership exists within a company? Why is it so dangerous for us?
Yeah. So think of it this way. Your top performers are always looking. They're always trying to seek that next opportunity. So if you're going to do things like monkey around with a sales plan, or you're going to be a leader who yells at their people, oh my God, if any one of you are on this call, please don't do that. You are ruining your reputation. Don't do that. But if that's the tone you've been taking, people will not respond to you. And if you're once talkative, really participatory folks are being real quiet, you've got yourself an issue. And there are ways to fix this. But like the first bit of advice I give to leaders is, make sure you're making time for one-on-ones. And I'm not talking forecast calls. Those are necessary. You have to have your business check-ins. I get it. But you also have to know your people. Ask them personal questions. Who's your partner? Do you have a pet? What kind of food do you like?
Do you have a sausage?
Travel? Do you have a sausage? Yeah, I mean, these are things that you should know and you should remember, because God help you if you get on a call the next week with that person and you've forgotten their partner's name. You just don't look real trustworthy. And the whole base for how you improve culture is through trust. So you've got to have those check-ins. You've got to ask, how can I be the best leader for you? That's a powerful, humbling question. You are admitting you don't know everything. And guess what? Nobody does.
No one does.
So it's okay to not know everything. It's okay to say, I'm not the smartest in the room. That's why I have you guys. What can we do differently?
I'm taking so many notes. So I hope everyone that's listening right now and may listen on playback is taking copious notes like I am, because you're really diving into what toxic leadership looks like and the effect it has on organizations. One of which I'm hearing is turnover, right? If you lose your best employees.
It's expensive to lose people.
Human capital is expensive.
It's so expensive. I mean, you think of the investment you made to train them. You think of the cost it is to bring them on, the benefits, all of the things that you're giving to this person. And depending on the level, it can be up into the millions. It's really very expensive to lose, certainly senior executives. So if you're not checking in with them and you're not seeing how they're doing, you run the risk of losing that very expensive, not just human, but the IP that they come with. So the intellectual property. That is so important for you to keep. And when I was running these big organizations, I had to provide space for people to connect.
Yeah.
One of my big teams, we were right through the pandemic, and I had acquired a whole bunch of teams. They didn't care about each other. They weren't selling each other stuff. They're like, I'm just here for the job. I'm going to get it done and get out. And I wanted a different environment. I wanted a space that people felt psychologically safe.
Yep.
I wanted a space where there was a lot of collaboration, and I wanted people to have fun.
Yeah.
So I came up with ways to tell people things about each other. So when they got on the Zoom, they'd be like, Joe, you play soccer. My son plays soccer. Do you have any tips? Like, all of a sudden, there's something more than just a name, and you're actually interested in the people you work with. And listen, when people are happy, they're 6 times more productive. That's science. That's not Lyndsay. That's science. So, think about the fun you're infusing, the spirit you're invoking, the way that you're motivating your people. And if you're not having fun, you got to hire somebody like Joe or me, or bring us in and we'll make it fun. But you got to have fun. You do.
I really love what you just mentioned about allowing your employees to see everyone as a whole human being instead of fractions, right? Instead of just their professional self, because we want to show up into brave spaces with our whole selves in this day and age. And if you don't do that, like you just said, they're going to go to a company that is going to do that. And that's a competitive advantage.
Well, if you don't do these things, you are investing in a culture of mediocrity.
Yeah. Oof.
If you want to keep your top performers, you've got to do things that make them want to stay. And the ones that won't go anywhere are generally complacent. They're not the ones that you want that are going to, get your bottom line to where you want it to be. So it's important. This isn't like nice to have. This is must have. And I call them power skills. Some people call them soft skills. This is a leadership tenet now. This is not a negotiable. If you aren't thinking about this, or worse, you're a leader that's like, I've been doing it this way for 25 years and I've been really successful. Good.
Dinosaurs, right?
Changed around you.
Yeah, you're obsolete.
Hire a coach.
Obsolete. Yeah.
There's ways to grow. Everybody can grow.
The chat is really blowing up, and Josh says that he's read that it's 1.5 times the salary of an employee to replace them. And then Lane brought up a great point that when you're looking for a new role, you're looking at the culture of an organization. You're looking at the leadership to see if you want to join that company. So it's right there for people to see, and it's used as a decision tool now for your highest and best employees. So it's a non-negotiable.
Totally. I always coach my career coaching clients. I'm like, when you interview, you ask if you can speak to a couple of people on the team. And depending on who you're interviewing with, answer. If they say no, run. That's a red flag. If they say yes, great. But then you can ask those people some tough questions. What do we do in times of struggle? What happens? How are you managed when we're not hitting our numbers? And those are really good things for you to gauge before you take a job.
I want to highlight Tanya's question in the chat because it's a really great question. How can a leader know if he or she is toxic?
Yeah. So the best way to know is, how do people respond to you? And if you do right by your people, let me tell you a story. And this is a great story. Anybody can do this, but a leader did this for me, and it changed the way I led forevermore. I was explaining to her, I had just got this new client, huge client, massive quota, huge responsibility. And I said, I think this is my approach and this is what I'm going to be doing. And she goes, girl, I've got your back. Now fly. That moment, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I can take risks. I can take my team of 55 and we can do things we've never done before. And you know what? We closed the biggest deal we've ever done. We broke a ton of records, but it was that faith she had in me. And if you're a leader, giving your team the space to do the jobs they were hired for and saying those words and not micromanaging them. Micromanaging is just, I don't trust you. That's what that is. And
Yep.
it will sap the soul of your organization faster than anything. Let them do their job. If you're a coach, you're leading them to the conclusion, and they will learn far more than you telling them, fit in this box, do this, and follow these instructions.
Right. Right.
Do not collect $200.
Yeah.
So,
I love the word trust. And when I hear I trust you, I think those are the three most powerful words in the English language.
yeah.
I think trust is the highest form of love. I think trust is leadership without the need for control, parenting while letting go. It's self-belief with a sprinkle of surrender. And I want you to tell us, like, what does trust look like from an organizational standpoint, from a leadership standpoint? How do I know if I am giving that trust to someone?
Yeah. I
Knowing
think,
that a lot of us want to hold on tight and control things so desperately.
yeah, well, that's the difference between being a secure leader and a leader who is desperate or is facing really unreasonable pressure. And listen, I came from sales. I've been in sales my entire career. I understand pressure. I get it. But you have to let people do the jobs they were hired for, and you have to give them that psychological safety to take risks. If you are not celebrating failure, which sounds like a really crazy idea, we're not celebrating losing a six-figure deal. I'm not saying that. But
Yes.
we're saying if we lost that deal, what did we do wrong? What did
Yeah.
we do right? What are we going to change? And no, I'm not going to sit here and yell at you about it. What can we, it's all is not lost. There still might be an opportunity down the road with that client. Let's think
Yeah.
about it. Let's figure it out. What else can we do differently? You know, the beautiful thing about business is it's ever evolving. It's changing all the time.
Yeah.
Nobody has all of the answers. And when I gave my teams the space to do their jobs, we came up with the best practices, things that nobody had ever done before. And as a result, we crushed it. We performed. We outperformed everyone around us. And people are looking at us like, what the hell are they doing over there? I've never seen these things before. I loved having that reputation. I called my team Mavericks and Hustlers because I wanted us to think differently. I wanted them to know, this is how I think of you. Those are really great things that make people go, she's got confidence in me. I'm going to try this. I want to call her and see, is she down for this?
Yeah. A little Top Gun for you reference right there with the Maverick.
Yeah, it's good.
You know what I see a lot, Lyndsay, especially in the sports world, the parents or even athletes themselves, they are surprised when they have a good coach who demands a high standard and is kind. It's almost like we have this belief that they are mutually exclusive, that in order to be a good coach or a good leader, you have to be, I want to say, a glass bowl, right? You can read into that as you will. I'm not going to say those words. Do you find that very often that people expect jerks to be good leaders? And how does that show up?
Yeah, I think a lot of people assume, especially in the early moments of their leadership career, maybe in their first couple of roles as managers, this means power. This means I am going to be respected. No, you got to earn that shit. You don't just get to be respected just because you have a title. And when people abuse that power, they lose that respect very quickly. So in order to build that trust and build that respect, I mean, one really great thing I always did, I'm not patting myself on the back, but I learned this from someone else. Whenever a new leader came into my organization, I was the first person to welcome them and say, hey, if I can help you understand the politics, if I can help you, navigate what you've got for responsibilities, and if I can take anything off your plate, let me know. Well, first of all, I'm creating an ally. They're like, okay, she's going to help me. This is awesome. I needed this and I'm scared. Every new leader is scared, and it's okay to be scared. You don't have all the answers. You're not supposed to. You're going to learn stuff, but it's going to take time and you need people to help you. And so how you seek out those people, and hey, when you're new and you reach out to the people on your team. So I had a leader ask me, a mutual friend of ours, Adriana Robinson.
Yeah, in the chat.
She asked me, she asked me, Linz, she had just promoted me into this second promotion in this role. And she said, how do you want to run this business? And I looked at her and I'm like, what? You want to know? Really? You really want to know? Okay, I'll come back to you in like 2 days. I just want to run and talk to my team. And I was like, you guys, we have an opportunity to do things differently. What do you want to do? And the ideas just start flowing. So it's, again, just giving people the space, building that trust. She had amazing faith in me. And as a result, we killed it. And we had so much fun.
I love that. And I'm going to give a quick shout out to a fellow room tilter, Hannah Pryor.
Yeah.
I posted a video today on my LinkedIn about something that resonated in my speech with a young man that I spoke to. And he said it was the struggle, right? It was understanding that we can't feel peace on the outside until we feel peace on the inside, right? And so very often we see only surface level. We only see the social media version of someone and it's all curated. And I love how you keep coming back to great leaders are able to say, I don't know. Great leaders have the confidence to understand that I am a lifelong learner. And by saying, I don't know, by showing you that struggle, I am relating to you.
Yeah.
I am building trust. And Hannah pointed that out on my LinkedIn. She said, actually, data and science shows that when we share that struggle, we actually build that trust, that connection, because that's so desperately what we want. We want connection, not perfection.
So true. It's so true. And you see it all over LinkedIn. Everybody wants authentic leadership. They want people that are vulnerable. And you know, my entire podcast is based on stories of resilience. People are telling their stories where they were at the bottom, but their climb out of that is what's so inspiring. So I tell my story about being fired, not because I think that's anything great to brag about, but it's because it was so shameful. It was so hard for me. Nothing I ever planned for. But what I did with that makes it really interesting. And leaning into those moments as a leader and saying, if you screw up, own it. Say, guys, I didn't do a good job. I spoke to you terribly. I shouldn't have done that. I need to come back and I need to earn your trust back. If you use those words, it's going to happen a lot faster than you just being like, yeah, well, I'm going to pretend you didn't hear any of that.
Yeah. It's the words and the actions, because you are modeling the behavior as a leader that you would like to see from the people who are following you, right? From your employees. If you don't model the behavior, no one will think you're authentic and no one will trust you.
Well, and you said something that I love, modeling behavior. I know so many people who have never had a good leader. And if you've never had a good leader, how do you know how to be a good leader? That's why I'm constantly on my soapbox trying to give examples and stories to help people see this is how it can be. And when it's really good, everybody feels it. Everyone wants to be a part of it. It's infectious. It's energizing. It changes it from just a job to a career I love. And what leader doesn't want to inspire that?
So for everyone who's out there listening now, Lynds, and who will listen back, we've pointed out what a toxic leader can look like. And we've pointed out what the problems can be. And since we are solution-based here at Limitless Minds, and we really want to give people takeaways, what can someone do if someone wants to be a inspirational, transformational leader? What can they do to take steps towards that?
Yeah, I think you can do this at any level. And, you know, if you're not a people leader, you don't have human resources, you know, people reporting to you in your reporting chain, but you're leading a team. There's lots of roles where you're leading a team. You're a team lead. You have an opportunity to inspire safety, to inspire growth, to inspire fun. And your word choice matters. The way you recognize people matters. And I don't just mean by using good pronouns. I mean like, hey, you guys, we're having a team call. I want to talk about what Joe did yesterday. She didn't win this deal, but the way she came back to the client and the way she said this made such a difference that they want to talk to us again. Joe, tell your story. If you share the spotlight and you are a generous leader, everybody will want to be around you. You want to be someone people want to work with. You want to be someone that people talk about in a good way when you're not in the room. And if you are constantly lifting others up and you are constantly seeing greatness in people, and greatness is a mindset. You know, I had a German au pair when my kids were little, and she had to go back to Germany, and she was so worried. And she said, Lynds, you know, I'm going to go back, and I'm so worried that everybody there is so serious. And I love that we smile so much here. And so I'm going to do this 100 days of happiness. And every single day on Instagram, she wrote something that she was happy about or something she was grateful for. And it changed her mindset and it carried her through till today. But it's a mindset and you have to practice it. And you're not necessarily going to be good all the time. But if you can make yourself go there and see the positives and compliment people and be generous and kind, you will be perceived as a great leader. You'll be recognized as such. And that in and of itself will build your reputation and will hopefully yield you a lot more opportunities.
It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I want to challenge the audience today. It was 100 days of happiness that you said. So let's have, 4 days of happiness. Can we, as Josh would say, right? Josh Lifrak, who's on the call right now, can we catch them winning, right? Can we catch ourselves winning, our loved ones, our coworkers winning in some sort of way? So we are really highlighting strengths instead of really pressing on weaknesses.
And it makes you feel good.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
When you're kind to someone and you share a smile, or think about it. If you're walking down the street and you like what someone's wearing and you compliment them, you made their day. It's so small. It's so easy to do. I think we overthink it. And when you get in the practice of being complimentary and being supportive, it's the only way you want to be. It just takes you a minute to get there. And guys, it is not a fluffy rainbows and hearts kind of thing. This is a human thing, and people crave kindness. It's a really good way to live.
People crave kindness. So that's going to launch our 3-day happiness challenge that we are putting on all of you. We're doing it too. Okay. Accountability. And I know you are a brilliant leader, Lyndsay, because we have so many new faces, new voices, and consistent voices in this chat, really lighting it up. It's great to see Adriana. We have Heather. We have Tanya, who's just throwing out such great nuggets in this chat. Josh is lighting it up as usual. We have Martin, Lane. So it's really special to have all of you here with us to learn and grow together. And Anthony Shaw, of course. Any last tidbits, knowing that we have 2 minutes left, Lyndsay?
I will say this. I know there's been, I think at last check, which was like a month ago, it was 80,000 people had been laid off. And I think we're above that now, which is just crazy. And there's lots of companies still going through it. So I am fully aware that people are scared and struggling, and people that never thought they would be without a job are now without a job.
Yeah.
And so as a result, my friend Ashley Pereira and I are putting on a workshop next week called Sell Me Your Story. And the whole point of it is, how do you talk about yourself in such a way that it makes you go from just telling a story to being remembered? We want to make you a category of one, and being able to talk about yourself in a way that is so good and so solid. And we work on your elevator pitch. We work on your brag book, and we have a workbook, and we have bonuses. It's a great class. It's $67. It's an hour. And if you can't make the class, I think it's the 23rd. So Tuesday at 12 Eastern, if you can't make the class, we're making it available for digital download. So that's a great way for us to give back, and a great way to help some of these folks who have been laid off. We just really want to empower you and help you find that fire that you can really get out there and get that next gig.
Yes. Sell me your story. I love it.
Yeah.
Follow Lyndsay on LinkedIn.
Follow me on LinkedIn. I'm posting the link all the time. So
she is always offering some pretty inspirational posts. And we want to thank everyone for showing up today, giving us your attention. Tomorrow will be Henna and Colin on Thriving Thursdays. And as we always say at Limitless Minds, Lyndsay, the body has limits, but the mind is limitless. Thank you so much for joining us. Check out her podcast. I'm on it. Josh is going to be on it. We're a Limitless Minds family. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in today.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.